So the only thing that we'll actually be voting on this evening is our agenda. Everything else will be for discussion. And then we will vote on these items of discussion at our regular meeting on the third Monday of the month at 5:30 in the same location. Did you need me, Stephen? You good? Okay. So we are called to order. So you have the agenda. Jessica sends that out to us in plenty of time to review all of the packet and agenda items, and that's also sent to our press and to various members of the public so that we can make sure that we're being as transparent and open as possible. So Jessica, do you have anything you need to amend? Everything's good? Okay. Gentlemen, I'll take a motion concerning that agenda, if you will.
Make a motion.
Okay, thank you, MJ. Is there a second?
A second.
All right, thank you, Lester. So if motion second, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, our first order of business is we have invited Mr. Thomas Simpson with the Department of Community Affairs to come and talk to us about the Georgia Rental Assistance Program. So I'll call on you to make that presentation. Is there, you good? All right. All right, turn it over to you, Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you all for having me this afternoon, and I will go ahead and get into this presentation. And I promise I won't use all the slides. It's on PowerPoint.
He said it was only a 2-hour presentation. So.
I really have 2 points to make to you all this evening. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them. So that I can't answer, but I'll sort of get back to you on it. The 2 things I'd like to share with you today is just what the Georgia Rental Assistance Program is, and just in case you haven't aren't familiar with it, some of you probably are, most of you probably aren't. But that's the first point I just want to do this evening, and then the last point. The other point is to tell you why I'm here, what the purpose is for us, what's our end game for the program. So basically, and you could go through the slides, sir, however you want. Like I said, I'm not going to use all 17. But basically, the state of Georgia, as well as a lot of all the other states in the nation, received money called the Emergency Rental Assistance under the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. This was based on the need that was seen by the federal government due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so basically, bottom line is a lot of, every state received a certain amount of funds because of the pandemic and because of what people have experienced because of that. So that's very basic introduction there. Anyone that has seen a loss of employment or different other financial hardships due to the COVID-19 pandemic are eligible for this program. And like I say, if you don't mind, you can go through them as quickly as you feel is be fine with me. I'm not going to read the slides to you. You all can, of course, don't let me read them to you, but we'll go through those very quickly. Basically, the program is set up for us to help. My job description is outreach coordinator. So I have 2 parts to my job, is to do what I'm doing tonight, which is reaching out to the community. The other part of my job is ultimately what our end game is what I wanted to really end up with, is for us to actually put on workshops at the grassroots level with actual applicants for the application process so that they can complete the application if they need assistance so that we can actually submit these applications for payment. So that's what we're going towards. So the reason I'm here in the city council is to reach out to each one of you in your own districts as well as if you see the need in your own district for folks, if it's 10 people, if it's 20 people at a time, you know, however many it might be, that need assistance for whatever reason, do not have access to the technology, or they just need assistance with the mechanics of completing these applications. They know they qualify for it. They know that they are eligible for it. And to find out if you're eligible, you go on the application itself and you answer a few questions and it will automatically tell you that. And then from that point, you go into the actual application. And so the first part I wanted to do was just let you know about it and as much as information as we can, tell you about the program, but then tell you what we're trying to do about it, which is actually get the applications done at this point. We want as many people that are eligible for it, of course, to receive the funds, obviously. This works in tandem with landlords and their tenants. The purpose is for landlords to recoup unpaid rent that's gone unpaid because of the last 2 years, and also simultaneously keep those tenants from being evicted or threat of eviction from those dwelling places in which they live. Without going through all 17 slides, that is the bulk of our presentation, and I know you all have other things here, other business to attend to tonight. So instead of going through, 20 minutes of this, if you have questions as you see the slides go through, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And like I said, if there's something I don't know the answer to, I'll be glad to get with you.
Let me ask you a question. Is this something that we could put that link on our website potentially that we could direct people to so they can get into the portal?
Yes, ma'am. You can advertise as much as you wish, which
Okay.
as you feel appropriate. Yes, ma'am.
And then, so this would be for either the landlord or the tenant, or they have to do it together?
In a perfect world, they would do it together.
Okay,
The landlord sometimes, in some cases, not very many, but rare cases, does not want to participate in the program. They're not interested in it for various reasons. They don't want to, their information, don't give their information out or whatever it might be. In those cases, rare cases, the tenant will receive the funds directly in their own, banking account. They get a direct deposit just like the landlord would.
Sure.
In that case. If the tenant goes through the application and does everything there's, on their end, they can bypass the landlord's part of it if they wish. I mean, if they do all of that.
and from the time they go into the portal, it's determined that they are eligible, and so they get that notice back, and they submit everything, say, in a timely manner. How long does it take that to be processed and then them to receive the funds or the landlord to receive the funds?
That's a good question. That's what everybody wants to know, is how long does it take to get the money?
Uh-huh.
And that's a question I don't have a concrete answer for. And I'll tell you one reason why, is because some of the tenants are prioritized differently based upon their AMI, and that is the adjusted, I always say adjusted, I don't know why. The area median income score. So if someone's area median income score in their county, which would be Tift County, is different than someone else's, those applications get shifted around
Right.
in the process. So it's hard to tell an individual that it's going to take, a month, whereas someone else that might take 6 weeks or
Gotcha.
things like that. What I encourage everyone to do is, if they feel like they're eligible, is to apply as soon as possible. And again, what we're trying to do is also, if we identify groups of folks that are just having some issues with the mechanics of the process, people like me, we're representing now all 159 counties, so I'm available in this area, obviously. But to get people together in a room and do those en masse in order to get those applications out there and
Okay.
at least have them submitted on our end.
Sure.
And then at least that part's been completed.
Okay. And one of the reasons it was important to have you come tonight, not that this is a city program, obviously, this is a Georgia Department of Community Affairs program, but to provide the information to our residents for each of these gentlemen and the districts that they represent, so that we can provide as much assistance as possible to those that need it. So we appreciate you, and I'll open the floor if these gentlemen have any questions as well or comments.
Since almost 2/3 of the people in Tifton rent, this is a big deal. And I would ask Pete, 'cause it's one thing to say, go on the portal and this and that. Well, some of us, I know what a portal is, I think, but, a lot of these people aren't going to know where to go. And you can say, is there a way to put a mailer in the water bill, or, there's something like that where you put a piece of paper in somebody's hand and it says, call this number.
You need help.
And we'll help you, because you can tell everybody in the world, if they can't go to a computer and fill this thing out. So what happens? Throw their hands up and say, I'm not going to get it anyway. How can we reach these people to really help those that need it?
I think it's a very valid point, and in our staff meeting, I will add that Ms. Fran has entertained from Coastal Plains a low-income housing energy assistance program. So now we have all 4 utilities that are available, and she and Tasha have been coming in early in the morning to help the seniors because they don't know how to
Right.
do the paperwork. So before that, if I could hold just for a minute, Thomas, can you explain this program? Did I read correctly that this is utilities also? Can you
Yes.
touch on that real quick?
Yes, inside the application, there's a point where it will ask, do you want to apply for utilities assistance? And it's just one of those questions, and then if you say yes, it pulls down another drop-down menu for you to insert your documentation, your utility bill, and you put in, it'll ask you questions like, well, how much, are you asking for? What is the dollar amount? And you'll just need to provide documentation for a bill that if it was past due or whatever if you have a late notice that you were given by the utility company, things like that, that would be inserted inside the application. And then that would be included, and you'd have a separate utility bill payment that would be made on your behalf from the actual rent payment amount that would be going out. Yes.
All right, and then second, are there any alternatives for folks that don't have, computer access? Is there you call the number, is there people that help from the counties?
There's a number they can call for, like general assistance with it. As far as the technology piece, I know and I live in Valdosta, but I know in Lowndes County, I work with the Goodwill Career Center there, and they have an open-ended invitation for folks to come in, like I was mentioning about having a group of people come and do the application. We haven't got to that point yet to do that with enough people to make it, efficient to have like that. But that's available when we get to that point. So if there's a place would be closer, obviously, to residents, I'm happy to be here. I could get possibly one of my cohorts, to come as well to assist. We've done it in northern Georgia. We're kind of working our way around the state to kind of doing those things when we get enough people involved. So it really, as far as computer access or internet access, it'd be a matter of just getting those space to do that, and then invite people to come and say, we're doing it, at this time, and things like that.
All right, good. So I think if we could put this together, because I didn't know about the energy one either. So it's seniors, it's low income, now we have utilities. If we can make one flyer with all the information on it, with all the contact information on it, and then if Thomas could pass it along, he could use the senior center as our stop point.
A time and, a date,
That's right.
maybe there's more than one, day and time and that kind of thing.
Certainly.
And for people to come.
Right. But further, I'd love to probably pass that one sheet on to the county, because they're our utility customers as well.
Sure.
And that family services, because they have a lot of the offices that
It
people
should be
could.
countywide, and
Yeah.
we can provide the service like that, people with Rogers or.
But residents could go to maybe some of the county offices to help with the paperwork or outreach, and we could do it all collectively to at least get the word out. But I think that's the best way to do it, because I was shocked this morning. Now it's confusing to us, so I could imagine to someone that doesn't have resources, that would be very difficult.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
Make
Very
it
Can I ask
good.
a question, Mayor?
Yes.
I have been talking to this, it's the LIHWAP. Are you familiar with that? Low Income Assistance for Water and Sewer Services through the.
Is that what you were talking about?
Through the state, but it's administered, I think, through the,
Department of Human Services.
Department of Human Services.
I'm not as familiar with that particular program, no, sir. But that's, like I say,
The
I'm
reason
sure
I
that's.
ask that, because it's my understanding that that program, assists low income and elderly because of the COVID relief, for water and sewer, either arrearages or cutoffs or things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
You indicated that there was something having to do with your package on utilities. So is that something that I guess we separate and apart from this program that's administered by DHS?
Yes. Our, like I say, our funding comes from I call it the CARES Act. It's not really says CARES, but the Emergency Rental Assistance Act, that's a separate,
Mill Ridge, and
That's a
so
good
it just,
example,
they
yeah.
just become problematic.
That's right.
And Wooden Mill Road, you know, tip went, we still, you
Yeah.
know, that's still sitting there. I don't know what the plan is, but,
From my understanding on that one, just as a side update, Bill Cooper mentioned 2 weeks ago that the traffic study's being done right now. So they're,
they
that's
are-
the big thing that's being done, because they don't want to put too much money into it if the traffic study's not going to come back, you know,
I'm glad you said-
favorable,
'cause I had
so,
one of the residents question me the other day, and what had we heard from the
yeah,
traffic study?
that's it.
No idea when that might be.
I haven't seen any counters out there, so I don't know how they're studying. I haven't seen it
I hadn't either.
initiating. Usually you'll see the counters, but I could encourage that. The PDOs are very frustrating. I encourage you also that we not spend too much time laying on this one because of the impact that it could have down the road. So vested interest, that's important, but I think the properties that that are out there that may, I don't know if there's vested interest on those, but we'll try to get something back to you right away, because I can tell you this is an important one.
Okay, all right, thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Rob. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. All right, Emily Beeman, review of city paid holidays.
Mayor, council, this is what we brought to you in February, the review of city holidays. We're looking at that, as you see on your sheet, we put the financial implications was a little over $23,000. I did want to clarify, if we decided to take the Juneteenth holiday, which was signed June 17th, 2021 by the president, if we wanted to review our city holidays and take some away or add an additional holiday, the actual financial implication would be a little less than $17,000, simply because we've already budgeted for Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 employees. This would be for public safety is what we would really be paying for. We brought it in February and gave you guys some time to think about it and see what we needed to do, so we're bringing it back forth to you.
Okay.
We have 10 holidays.
That's correct.
Compared to, you know, private enterprise and stuff, 10 is a lot. I don't think you'll see many more. I personally don't think we should spend the money and make 11, but I think we can leave it to the employees if they would like to celebrate Juneteenth and in place of another holiday, do that. But from a financial standpoint, I don't think we should spend additional taxpayer money to have 11 holidays for city government.
Have the employees expressed an opinion one way or another
Yes.
on what they'd like?
When it was first signed, we did have a few questions if we were going to recognize it. Last year, we were past budget time. It happened on a Thursday, and employees took off on a Friday. We couldn't do that. So our response to that was we would review it and look at it and bring it forth this year. There has been a few employees asking, a lot haven't. Jack, to answer your comment, I would err on the side of caution in allowing employees to pick and choose what holidays they would do, since it's not a recognized holiday. I would just be cautious of that.
Is there an option to say, we're going to have, and I'm just brainstorming here, so this is not what I'm proposing, just is this an option? To say, okay, employees, there's 10 holidays, here's your list of holidays. You vote for the 10 that you want, and then the 10 that get the most votes, those are the 10 holidays. I don't know if we could do something like that. You know, personally, I want our employees to be comfortable and happy with the decisions that we make, the policy that we set with regard to their days that they're working or not working and how they're compensated and that kind of thing. So to have their input, I think, would be beneficial. But that's just me. I don't know what the other council members'
No, I agree with that.
thoughts are. You know,
I like that idea.
if they could select the 10, and then whatever the top 10 vote getters are, that's the 10. It's a democratic process, but that's just an idea. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are. If you want to just say,
That was kind of my thought when I said leave it.
Yeah, my personal thoughts is that Juneteenth become one of the holidays. So I'm adamant about that.
so that there be
Because of the
11.
historical aspect of it. That's just where
So
I
you're,
feel.
do you want to add Juneteenth and make it 11 or replace something with Juneteenth? I want to see what your thoughts are there.
Well, for me,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a holiday on there that I feel I'm biased about. So for me, there is one that could come off, but on a personal level, I would rather the Juneteenth day be added to it.
Be added,
to
so there's
keep down
11 days.
Disruption,
Gotcha.
yeah. So I'm
Any
for
thought,
adding.
MJ or Josh, or?
Well, I mean, I understand the budget and things, but, you know, I mean, it's the history of it, you know? We're not gonna play it as one way or the other. It is a sentimental, situation on our thoughts,
Sure.
on my thoughts as well.
Sure.
It's very delicate.
And it's kind of
Yeah,
like,
I
you
can
know,
understand that.
it's delicate for somebody to sit here, because
Yeah.
I'm sure there's 1,000, millions other people that feeling the same way about it.
Right.
You know, yes, he produced it as a holiday, yes, it's gonna cost us money, but you know, it has a lot of sentimental value too. And it's kind of like you can let people vote on what holidays
Yeah.
they want, but then they gonna, you know, have their sentimental values on their sentimental
Sure.
holidays, you know?
Right.
So it's.
But you
know.
said that, Emily, I'm sorry, MJ,
Oh, no, you're good.
you said that several of the employees did ask about the Juneteenth. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, they did last year.
Okay.
We haven't had any right now. If we were to send something out to employees, such as a Survey Monkey for them to fill out, I would like to remind you that there are other holidays, other federal holidays that we don't celebrate.
Right,
Do we include that in?
yeah,
And I'll just throw this in, the 10 are important. Now, if I look at one, I know when I was in private industry, we did not get Veterans Day off. That was not
Yeah.
one.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would, maybe if we took that and replaced it and said it was a personal day, because we had some employees, and back in the day, we didn't take off Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but we had several that it was important.
Yeah.
And they took their
off.
personal day as for that holiday. They were off every year for
Right.
that, because it was a personal.
that was, yeah,
And maybe we,
important.
let's make the decision, and veterans are very important. I mean, I've got one in my house, so I don't want anybody.
Well, I'm a veteran.
To
at the
say
same
that it's
time.
not important, but there are a lot of private industries
Yeah,
that don't necessarily
but
take it.
again,
Yeah.
I'm a veteran and it's very important, but for me, Juneteenth is extremely important.
And that's
So,
what I say, make it personal, because it's not, it's more important to you, and maybe it's veterans to somebody else, and,
Well, it's more important to an entire race of people,
and I'm not.
entire race.
And I understand that.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, to me, the bigger picture is, we
Well,
are the stewards of
yes.
taxpayer money.
Okay.
And we already get hit with, well, you're always off, and that's what they always say about the
Well,
federal.
there are other days on here that could come off if we have to go there. You know, for me, Juneteenth is absolutely unnecessary and it's overdue. And I think there's something on here can come off. If we're gonna go that route of financial, there's a couple of days that could come off there. So, maybe we can meet and decide which ones come off. But Juneteenth for me is a must, it's a need, and it's a must-have. And I'm very adamant about that day. So I don't know who else is adamant about it, but, that's something that is, not gonna go away with me.
Okay. Budget-wise, we can cover the 11th holiday. Is that a fair statement?
If what?
We didn't develop the budget yet.
Budget-wise, can we support 11 paid holidays,
I-
budget-wise?
I cannot answer that. That's why we committed to bring this back, because
Okay.
we're started the budget process. So again, it's really, it is about the budget, but it's about the holidays. And again, Emily's right. I mean, federal holidays are one thing. It's more about the celebration of some of the holidays.
Sure.
Some are going to argue with this one, some argue again with this one. And what's important to individuals, again, city employees, it's just natural. If they could get another holiday, they're going to like that, right?
I mean, it's total compensation.
So-
Let's take the emotions and everything else, it's total compensation, whether
There
you provide
there is
for
no
employees.
taking emotion. That's,
Well, you have to take it out.
for
when
taking
you're looking
emotion out on Juneteenth,
At a budget and financial,
there's another day that can come off.
so,
If we're gonna go financial, there's another day that can come off.
And I think what Lester's saying is potentially the day after Thanksgiving. That's not a federal holiday. Thanksgiving Day obviously is, but the day after Thanksgiving is not. So maybe there's a swap there. I don't know, just throwing that out to, for consideration. But, you know, let's, so you don't think that we could handle
I
11
can't.
holidays?
Mayor, it's too early to tell. It's really
I
too
know
early to
that
tell.
we are under a tremendous amount of pressure budget-wise.
Right.
I understand that, I know that, and I don't want to make light of that. I do want to be very respectful of Juneteenth and what it represents. And I appreciate your passion and your comments, MJ, but I also recognize the balance of you know, it's the public's money. But at the same time, you know, I would rather, personally, and Josh, feel free to weigh in. I think I'd rather err on the side of approving the Juneteenth holiday, if that's an error, to be respectful of what we're talking about. And, you know, I know it's so easy for us to sit here and say, well, we need an extra 10,000 here, we need an extra 20,000 there, we need this. You just go find it. I get that, but at the same time, I do understand and want to be respectful of what Juneteenth is and what it means and acknowledgement of that. So, you know, if there's any way to, and I'll stop there, I'm rambling, but
All right,
Josh.
no, I was just gonna suggest, you know, you were talking about the day after Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's Black Friday, everyone wants to go shopping, that kind of
Uh-huh.
stuff. So if we put in Juneteenth in place of that, then people can just put in a personal day
For
for
the day
that
after
Friday
Thanksgiving.
to go Black Friday,
Yeah, that's
and
what
it's a
I'm
win-win.
Make that the
You
personal
know?
day. There are people that are gonna celebrate Juneteenth.
Sure,
Some people aren't. There's people who are gonna celebrate Labor Day, and some people aren't. Same way with, you know, these are Good Friday. There's people that Good Friday's not a holiday for them. That's not their religion, okay? But day after Thanksgiving, to that point, take it off. I don't think you're hurting any group. You're not hitting the veterans and the religious things and those kind of things. Or,
Emily,
you know,
how do personal days work? How does that, do they just have to schedule that with HR and?
They schedule it through their supervisor, through our electronic system.
Okay, so let's say, and I'm just gonna use the customer service department, because I know with police and fire, theirs is different, but let's say the gentlemen and women that work in ladies that work in the customer service department, let's say there's 5 people that work there, and all 5 of them say, I'd like to be off that Friday as a personal day. How do we handle something like that? Because obviously, if that's personal days, we can't let the entire department be out. So what happens then?
My direction to my supervisors would be they are going to have to come up with some type of system, whether it's a first come, first served basis or a seniority system. And some of those are going to have to be denied. Typically, our employees aren't used to their days being denied because we're able to kind of flex that. The day after Thanksgiving, you know, it's an enjoyable holiday for
It
the
is.
employees.
I know.
You know, if we were to take that one away, there's the good and the bad of it.
Yeah. Well, and I know we have asked our employees to do more with less, to do more under strange circumstances that we've been under the last couple of years. Again, personally, I think I'd rather err on the side of offering 11 and taking that criticism than, you know, but I know, but you've got to cover that expense in your budget, so
I'll tell you what, we meet in a couple weeks, and how about Emily and I, we'll just put 2 scenarios together and do this as just an exercise to see how this would work, and we'll have that ready for you on the 21st. You can make a decision there, and then we could carry it forward in May. We still have enough time to do that. Would that be acceptable?
Yep, that's fine.
Emily, I was just gonna say, if you had 5 or 6 ladies or gentlemen that work out front, and they wanted to take that Friday after Thanksgiving off, could it possibly be, okay, you 3 guys will have it this year, you have the option of taking it, or option of not taking it, and then next year you 3 have it, and you have the option of taking it or not taking it? Could that be something as well?
We do that with Christmas Eve. Whoever had off last year, we wouldn't have off this year, but it's
Sure.
going to be in the discrepancy of the supervisor. We have nothing in our handbook that says if all your people ask off, how do you handle that?
Sure.
So it would be whichever way the supervisor decides to do it.
Okay.
Okay. But I want the public to hear that the council is very respectful of the Juneteenth holiday and the Juneteenth, let me back up, what Juneteenth represents. And I don't think that there's anyone here amongst the five of us who would disagree with that it's an important part of history. It's our history, and we need to acknowledge that and recognize that. So it's, this is the challenge of being in public service. How do you be respectful but also respect that it's the public's money, and that's the point that you're making, that we do have to consider that. So yes, if you could
We'll do two scenarios.
work up some
and
scenarios.
I heard what you said. We'll do two scenarios. You can make a decision from there.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments concerning that? Okay. Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much. And thank you, Pete, for flexing on that. All right. New business, letter of support for the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing, GIC. Jessica, what you got for us?
This year, the city sent out a request for developers to submit a proposal. To receive the GIC letter of support, the city can only issue one of those to a developer. We had multiple people contact us, but only one submitted an application. And that was submitted by AEP. And they're an equity partner, and they've been working on the complex of West Haven is kind of what we remember. That's on E.B. Hamilton Drive. So they already have two developments there. They have a senior, which is in the front. In the back of that property, there's a multifamily, and what they're proposing is to expand and do another senior development.
Senior housing, okay.
That development would have 44 units, be 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. It would be a 2-story style, and that total investment would be $10.5 million. And they included their packet of information. That application is due in June, so if we would, this is our only request we've had this year, so if we want to support that, that's up to
And
council.
we have supported them with previous projects, you said?
Yes.
Yes, I thought we had, okay.
And we've issued it for this same development. They were just not funded.
Okay,
This is a repeat application.
Sure.
And this is right on E.B. Hamilton where it zigs and zags. This happens to would be in the city. The other portion of it is in the county. So
okay.
they're very familiar, the individual who writes this grant, but this is the second time around on this, and it'll be senior housing.
So is it already inside the city? Because last year I thought.
No, it would be
annexed in once they got it.
That's correct. And they still are proposing that.
Okay. Thank you for remembering that.
Yeah.
It's been a long year.
I seem to remember those annexed things.
Yes, yes. Okay, any questions, comments, gentlemen, for Jessica concerning the Georgia Initiative for Community Housing Support? Okay. All right. Rob, you want to talk to us about the municipal court prosecution's failure to appear?
Yes, Mayor. Basically, we're having some issues in municipal court about people not appearing. I think COVID's had a lot to do with it. But the problem is we're just having a lot of folks not showing up for court. So what we're proposing in this revision to this ordinance is actually making failure to appear to be a contempt charge. And if you fail to appear, you can then be charged with contempt and be fined, for failing to appear. The goal there is to hopefully get more people in court, rather than them not showing up for court and having bench warrants issued that just stay out there for years. So that's one part of it. The first section talks about the writing of citations. I just wanted, this provision just makes clear that our code enforcement officers have the right and the authority to write citations.
Okay.
That kind of alleviates some of the burden on the city attorney. You don't get charged for
Right.
that. They just write their citations. The other thing that we wanted to add to the municipal court is an administrative fee of $150 for court costs. Basically, there's a lot going on, with our clerks, with our police officers who have to watch the prisoners, transport prisoners, paperwork, the work that we do down there. So we were proposing that there be a $150 court cost fee in addition to the fine in order to defray some of those costs. It may not be charged in every case, but what we're trying to do is get people into court, defray the costs that we're incurring and administering the court, and hopefully, it's been problematic down there, so we're hoping that we can recoup some of these costs that we're having and hopefully getting people into court. That's what we're looking to do.
Okay. All right, and that, resolution and potential ordinance is in our packet, so have y'all had any questions that y'all have? Sounds like we've got to do something
Yeah.
to give you the teeth you need to get these folks in there, so.
Well, Pete's been working really hard with
Yes.
everybody. We're trying to, we look at our processes and our procedures to make things more efficient, and hoping that, I think we're getting a good handle on it.
Excellent. Anything you need to add?
No, I would add this, once, if someone doesn't show up, I can tell you from the administrative side, from the chief down to Gail, down to the court itself, there is an exhaustive amount of paperwork that has to happen.
Yeah.
And when you talk about serving bench warrants, you're talking about finding people, you're talking about trying to do that, it is just absorbing a lot of time. And what's happened, COVID has stalled, now we got a pile to deal with. So it's just the extremes that we're in now. We have to address it. So this would be an excellent first start.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments concerning the municipal court? Okay. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Pete. Moving on, I'll call again on Crystal Gaylord to talk about the Code of Ordinances regarding nuisances.
So one, just point of clarification, is ordinance amending section 38-112 instead of 122.
Okay.
Section 112 hasn't been updated since 2000, so that's 22 years that it's been since this ordinance has been looked at. So it needed some new life. We, in code enforcement, run into a lot of problems on a daily basis where we don't have a good, solid, slam dunk code to charge someone on, and you kind of beat your head against a wall when you're like, clearly this is a nuisance, right? You see this, the structure or just the conditions of a certain situation, and you know it's a nuisance, and this is where you should be charging them, but you can't. And so we are proposing kind of starting from scratch with our what is a nuisance section of our ordinance. So I won't go through and read every item, but we'll go through just maybe just the high points if that's all right. Starting with, we'll skip down to the vegetation's fund, but we'll start down to number 5. Any tarp, plastic sheeting, or other temporary covering on a dwelling or house, building, or fence, billboard, or other structure for a period greater than 10 days. Tarps are intended to be temporary, and if a house has a leak and a tarp has been covering up that leak for 9 months, odds are that the tarp probably isn't being very effective, and it's not a good thing for the homeowner or the tenant that the tarp has been the only thing keeping the elements out of such house. So this is one of the things where we did not have a good code before against things like this, and this is what we're proposing, is that tarps on a house for an excessive period of time is a nuisance. That's one of the big ones. We've had graffiti before. We just had a separate code for it. It wasn't under the nuisance ordinance. So this is just kind of condensing a couple of the things into one ordinance. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I hit the high points of what the difference was between the old one and the new one. Another one is any dwelling, house, building, fence, billboard, or other structure on private property which abuts or fronts a public street that exhibits one or more of the following conditions. So broken or missing windows or doors, graffiti, loose or missing roof shingles, window shutters, missing bricks and exterior siding. This one's a mouthful. Peeling, chipped, absence of paint, stain, varnish, or similar coatings, or the presence of dirt, mildew, mold, or on any structure that is visible from any public street or property. So we have a current code case, and we have other codes that we can charge them on, and we're working with the homeowner to rectify the situation. But the whole entire house is black. It's a white structure, and we just did not have a good code that just really embodied what that case was. So luckily, this is a very willing homeowner that realizes the situation and is complying very willingly. But it got us to thinking, what happens if they were not willingly complying and we needed to go to court? We didn't have a slam dunk case. So that's really the reason that this is before you. We had discussed adding other items to this, such as vegetation, shrubs, overgrowth, and things like that. So those have come before you in the coming months. But just in terms of the nuisance section, this is what we got.
Okay, all right.
So will this take care of that house on 20th? It has the tarp
That's right.
that's been there?
That's right. That one, along with, I've got a list of 16 right now.
Okay, what about in the house on 18th or 16th? It's not missing brick, it's missing the house.
That's right.
There's nothing but brick on the front and the back, and a tarp on the part that's left.
14th.
14. 3 years later, tell me we can tear that down.
That one is actually in the code system, or in the court system right now. We will not go back to court on that one until the end of this month.
Whatever we need to do to put some teeth to get rid of some of these houses that I've been screaming at for 6 years. I mean, this is absurd to look at some of these things.
Your first order of business, though, is to try to work with the property owner, homeowner, whoever's there, to try to rectify, remediate the situation. So
Absolutely.
I don't want people to think just because you have chipped paint, you're gonna be hauled
No,
into court.
no, absolutely. And we
Yeah.
try to abide by the fastidious taste. It's a word that I love to say, but it's in our current nuisance ordinance, is that a nuisance is not something for someone of fastidious taste. So if you're somebody that cultivates your roses and they look beautiful on a daily basis, and you see somebody else's shrubs and they don't look as beautiful as yours, that's not something that we pursue as an active case. Right now, it is the dilapidated housing that is consuming, or is the priority currently of code
Well,
enforcement.
a lot of this is like it's a health hazard or it's a safety hazard, so.
Mayor, can I just comment a little bit more? There's a section that we're gonna need to add, to what Crystal has. We've been kind of working on this together.
Sure.
It might be my fault, but basically what this code section does, it kind of enumerates what, we want to say, this is a nuisance. Now, a nuisance is defined, basically as anything that causes hurt, inconvenience, or damage to another. It's kind of a touchy-feely type of a definition. And so really, a lot of things can be a nuisance. The question is, who's looking at it, who's going to say this is just aesthetics. So what we were hoping to do is try to get, nail down things that we say, this is a nuisance. Now, there will be a provision before what you see on the paper. It says the various nuisances described and enumerated in this section shall not be deemed to be exclusive, but shall be in addition to all other nuisances described and prohibited in this code. So basically, you'll have that catch-all that, says, listen, this is not supposed to be exclusive, everything you see below, but if it causes hurt, inconvenience, to another, it can be a nuisance. So bottom line is there's a lot of things that can be a nuisance. This was really kind of designed to try to specifically designate things that we can then go to court and say, here's the code section, this is a subsection, city council says this is a nuisance, now we want to have it debated.
Okay.
Mayor and
Is that
Council,
clear to everyone?
also, if I can add, if there's any way we could fit in on abundance of vehicles on lots,
a good
because
point.
it is troubling, and I'd like to add that if we possibly can.
I talked to Crystal just before the meeting on these garages where we have a lot of parked cars. I'll talk with Pete and Crystal about it. It's similar to a junkyard, basically, when you have a bunch of cars out there. The Land Development Code has supplemental standards for junkyards. We could either try to make it a nuisance, or we can do supplemental standards where if you're going to store vehicles outside, they've got to be screened and stored and such of that.
Right.
So anyway, Talked to Crystal about that. She's thinking through that as well. So I'll get with Pete and Crystal and see if we can take care of that issue one way or the other.
Okay, I see that people is not on the list, so we can't claim people as a nuisance then, right?
That's a PD issue. We deal with property, they deal with people,
Gotta
so.
lighten the mood a little bit here, y'all. All right, any other comments, questions for Pete, Robert, Crystal on the nuisances as things, not nuisances as people?
Or anything we left out.
Anything that you'd like to see added?
Yeah, I think it's perfect.
I guess feral cats.
I'll probably have something to add by the time this is done.
Sure you will.
Just to not disappoint you.
Could you put number 10, Jack Folk?
Biggest nuisance there is.
I'll pick at you a little bit. Okay, thank you. Thank y'all for your work on this. This is something that we've been asking for a while, so thank you for working on that.
It is, that's number one. Thank you for recognizing. This is third year we've been
Yes.
talking about this. I understand the frustration, and we're working on the
Yes.
end result. But number two is, the takeaway is Crystal's doing a fabulous job on looking at the ordinances, but the last time this was addressed was 2000. Think about that.
Yeah.
Just like the
22 years ago.
PDOs, 2011, where things are so outdated, and it's our job to bring you those. And when you hear that buzzword, when it's outdated, it triggers stuff for us. We want to bring you the modern version, but then how we could work to
Right.
make it.
Well, and I just want to reiterate for our residents and businesses, the first order of business is to try to work with them to remediate. And so I don't want someone to misunderstand that this is just we're just gonna come and get you and cut your finger off or something. We're gonna work with you to try to find an agreeable solution and mutually agreeable and that kind of thing, so. And I know that you've done that. I've had different residents say, enjoyed working with Crystal or with Don, they've really been very helpful, so thank you for that.
And, I mean, it's in the bigger picture, you live in a city, there are rules and there's regulations, and it's not, yes, it's your property, but what happens to your property affects surrounding properties. And so I should get off Facebook and not
Yes, you
share.
should.
Somebody was asking about that area, not in the city, and the question was, it's not your property, so why are you worried about it? Well, okay, it might be, it's next door to somebody, and that's why they're worried about it, and the same reason as this.
Yeah.
You don't live in a vacuum, and what happens there affects the other person, and that's the bigger thing to me.
Right. Okay, any other questions, comments, suggestions? If we think of anything, I guess we could email those to you and we
Yes,
could
please.
review those before we approve the final
You
list.
can send it to me and I'll add it to my list.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, Emily, Georgia Cities Week, that is coming up, end of the month.
All right, Mayor, Council, Georgia Cities Week is something fun that the city does. Just to give you a little insight into what Georgia Cities Week is, it gives us the opportunity to show off the good works of what we do here with the city of Tifton. Often that's overlooked sometimes by our citizens, but this gives some of us or some residents an inside look into the operations of the city and lets us show off our valuable services that we have. We have fun events for kids, families, customers. So I'm going to go through and run down and give you a little insight of what we're planning. The week that we'll celebrate will be April 25th through April 30th. It will be a jam-packed week with lots of events. Monday, April 25th, we will have an employee appreciation lunch at the ESG complex for all of our employees, including ESG, to show our appreciation for their hard work that they do on a daily basis. Tuesday, April 26th, we will have coffee with mayor and council. That morning, we give the opportunity for the citizens to come in and speak with you guys. If they have any questions, comments, or concerns that they would like to share, they're able to come there and do so. Wednesday, April 27th, we'll have a Customer Appreciation Day at City Hall for any customers coming in. And then Friday, April 29th, we will have Touch a Truck from 5 to 7 at the Cato Knight parking lot. This is a fun event for the kids to come out and see all the public safety vehicles that we have. Excavators, Rylan is going to partner with us. They're going to be there showing off some of their stuff. It's fun for the kids and the whole family. And then Saturday is going to be a busy day. Saturday, April 30th, we will have a community bulk drop-off sponsored by Rylan. They will be out there with a few roll-offs to collect bulk items from the community. We'll be able to collect batteries, and we'll be able to collect metal that day as well as large appliances. So we're getting that set up. Hopefully, we'll have a big turnout for that. And then that day, we'll also have a community movie, Sing 2, will be playing at the Tifton Theater, and it will be free to the public, and we'll have a 2 p.m. and a 7 p.m. showing. So we've got a week jam-packed full of events and fun things for customers, employees, and everybody else in the community.
And this is, just for the public, we all know this, this is in partnership with the Georgia Municipal Association. So cities all across the state will be celebrating Georgia Cities Week with whatever they want to do and whatever their special events are. So we'll be part of that big
That's right.
statewide celebration, honoring and recognizing the importance of the work of our cities and municipalities across this great state. So thank you for putting this together. I think it's going to be a fun week.
Yeah.
We'll all be there.
Great.
With bells on. Any questions, gentlemen, comments?
Are they gonna take tires? Okay.
We took tires in October, is that right, Crystal? We took tires in October. We did bounce around the idea this morning, looking at if we could have a dump bin for those and the cost implications for that. Since we did it just a few months ago, we kind of left that off the table, and instead we added the batteries and the large appliances to that, and Ryland was definitely on board. They're actually contacting those vendors to come set up for us.
Okay. All right, any other questions of Emily? All right, good job, Emily, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are drawing to a close for our meeting. Our city manager report, Pete.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just a few things back to the cleanup. I know Mayor, I've talked to you about this a couple times, and some of you as well, but I think it's a good idea. What we're going to probably plan with ESG is to address some of the alleys with just some of the junk that's been there for, months and years. So we'll probably do a map of that and send trucks down the alleys. Anything that's left there, anything grass growing in it, anything that's been there a while, we'll probably go ahead and scoop that up as part of our cleanup day, if
good.
that sounds good with y'all. And I think
That
it's
sounds
important
very
that we do
good.
that, because we have stuff out there from, years ago. And then if we turn around and Ryland could do some education, the alleyways are not a dumping site. And
Right.
that's an educational thing where people just put stuff out there and expect it to be gone. We need to do a better job with educating. But if we clean it up, start over, I think it'll work out just right.
Good.
Chief Hyman told me this morning that the PD has gone through what's called the mock state certification, and that this is a trial run, and state certification is something we have been after for the last couple years. And what this is, it says via the state, a whole set of standards says that our PD is operating under the highest level of policies in accordance with state regulations and law enforcement, and that we're going to follow, and all the officers will follow policies to do that. You have to go through a certification process, A to Z. It covers all the departments and what we do inside. There's also a national accreditation that says on a national level, your police department performs at a different level. But I was real happy to hear that was one of our goals that we had, but the mock state certification went very well. I believe there's only 9 items that he has to correct, and the chief, I think, will test officially before the year end. This is a big deal for the police department, and something that I'll be real proud of, and I know he will too, is that we're conducting that type of business. But real proud of that, and it's exciting news. Ms. Fran shared this morning that the senior center is back up 100%, and the seniors are excited. The rentals are back on full swing, and the seniors center is rented out for a good period of time. So that is really good news, and what her and Tasha do each and every day. But that's where you could tell that it's a new day where the seniors are happy and the program's back in swing. That's our gauge that we've been using. So I wanted to share that with you. April 6th at 3 o'clock is the license package or liquor store license poll. So that'll be done in chambers at 3 o'clock, and we are working through some of the details now. But if you want to see that, so be it. But that is part of ordinance. Rob and I and Jessica will work on, again, how this is going to go down on Thursday for that. So I will let you know.
What that process, as you know it right now, looks like? how you're gonna do it?
Well, there's two scenarios, and again, I'm going to talk to Rob and Jessica tomorrow, but one of the conditions was it's going to be in here, we're going to have it up on the screen, it's going to be live fed, and Jonathan actually, he found a program, computer generated, and it's an algorithm where everything is loaded in, and the button's pressed, and it's calculated, and the first letter will pop up. That's an automated version. The other thing that we need to consider is the old school, is rolling it in the barrel and someone picks, and that way they get to see it, and that person is announced. So there's two ways. I thought about one way. I didn't put too much thought in the other way, and again, someone provided some wisdom to me today, and I listened intently. So we may have to go back to old school, so there's not a perception issue. That's the biggest thing, and this has been transparent from the start, wouldn't you agree? Very difficult, or, I don't want to put us in a scenario or thinking that we're up to something, or that something is already pre-planned, because it's not. It's simply not, and I want it to be fair and square, and that's what we intend to do, but it's the delivery, and I'm going to work on that final arrangement tomorrow.
But, yeah, the only way to avoid that perception it wasn't, is to see all the names that it is, in the barrel, turn, somebody pulls it out. You know how people are computers, or you could adjust that, I mean, we won't go through that whole
Or
discussion.
was my name even in the barrel?
Was it even there,
Yeah.
or was it put, okay, you can use that's, because, it's out there, it's gonna be, I've already heard who's gonna get it, who's not. And so, Lord help those people get it, and it's not clear that it was just, this is everything. I mean, old school is just, to me, it's got to be.
Yeah. Well, we'll finalize that tomorrow, and we'll be ready. And then the last, Larry and I met with all the departments for their budgets, and we have finished the first round. We're going to put all the changes in. Larry will get another printout. We'll go through that again. We're going to meet with the departments if there's any changes, and then we'll start our budget calendar from there and work towards the budget work session for you, and I believe that is in first part of May. So we're on target.
All right, thank you. All right, mayor and council comments. Anybody want to start?
I definitely want to start.
Okay.
I want to take a moment to recognize Tifton native Travis Williams. He is the owner of Historical Black College All Stars LLC company. This past weekend, he worked, actually, let me take it back, he worked for 3 years, and this past weekend, his dream came true. He put on the first ever Historical Black College All-Star Game in connection with the Final Four weekend, which was televised on CBS Sports, and it's the inaugural one, and it will be continuing as a part of the March Madness Final Four moving forward. I grew up with Travis, and he is a person that is very passionate about education and the kids, and to see him, his dream come true live on television meant the world to me, and I just wanted to recognize him, and hopefully the city can do something great for him, because he's actually put the city on the map for something else besides negativity that's been out in the news on crime and things like that for Tifton. So he's put Tifton on the map in a big national positive way. And I just want to congratulate him and his family and everyone that was a part of helping him achieve that goal. And also want to recognize Brace Stevenson, who is, he actually took someone from the video side to do the behind the scenes. So he brought someone from home with him on the national stage. And I just want to recognize Brace Stevens for his video production skills that I've always admired. So both of those guys made history for Tifton this past weekend, and hopefully we'll be able to recognize Travis and his family moving forward for that great achievement. Thank you, that's all.
Wonderful.
Will you get us some info, and we'll properly
Yes,
plan
I will
that?
have everything tomorrow, ASAP.
Okay. Do you want to go next?
Yeah,
Okay.
couple of things. One, anybody that watches the Today Show last week when they had the bad weather come through and they had a reporter there, you noticed they were in Louisiana, Tallulah, Louisiana to be exact, where a tornado hit. And I looked up and there it was. Well, that's where I grew up.
Oh,
that's where I lived for over 30 years. And I didn't see a Today reporter standing there and say that. So anyway, nobody was hurt, tore the roof off the school, did a few other, did lots of damage. But anyway, the other thing is some sad news. Johnny Carell is not doing well. He is, it's going down quickly. It sounds like his health is just not what it is. So just keep Johnny and Diane and family in your prayers, because it's just not a good situation. So
Okay.
that's all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jack. Josh, MJ?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm good. I was gonna talk to Doug tonight, but he left.
He
so.
left.
But other than that, Pete, the alleyways you were talking about, were you talking more or less in mine and MJ's district or citywide?
Well, the alleys stretch probably in 3 districts, so we'll probably start on the bottom. So it'd be primarily both of yours as starters, because we can only go so far on a Saturday, but that's probably the intention. We're the ones that, it just need a lot of the attention.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
I definitely think you should consider my district as well. Pretty bad.
We got some work to do, and it may be repetitive where we have to address alleys for, a couple
A while.
months.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
MJ?
Just want to say thank you to Pete and the city for, addressing those issues for the alleyways. It's always the alleys are, kind of like that hidden place that nobody really wants to attend to, but, these are, walking, places for the community and children and some families, they actually put it to good use. So I really appreciate this, coming to fruition of you and the people trying to address those issues for the people. I guess this weekend we had a little spring fling, and I want to just commend the people that put it together, and the food trucks and everything was nice to see the families out and people just hanging and eating and doing a little shopping. And I think Miss Julie might have another story for y'all contained to the spring fling. Did you?
Oh, about the basket?
About the basket.
Well, I had made a note here. I wanted to recognize Abby McLaren, our Downtown Development Executive Director, and Guthrie Grow, our Main Street Director, for working with our merchants to coordinate that. But yeah, funny story, real quick. They had a very nice gift basket that was valued at close to $2,000.
Yeah.
All of these downtown businesses donated gift cards and items. I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah.
And you had to go to a downtown business, and you had to buy a ticket, $1 ticket, and you entered your name into this raffle for this this beautiful gift basket. It had artwork, it had all sorts of things that were just, like I said, amazingly generous downtown businesses had donated. And I had bought $20 worth of tickets. Well, Curtis Akins invited all the children to come forward, and they stirred up all the tickets in the fishbowl, and this little kid reaches down and pulls out a name, hands it to me, and says, "Here, Mayor, here's the winner." And I look down, it's my name. And I was like, oh my gosh. So what we ended up doing, what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to donate it back. And because I didn't think it was fair for me to, I should have just donated $20 and then put my name in but I don't know why.
Who'd have thought you'd have?
Who would have thought I'd have won? There were like, what, Abby, like 12 or 1,400 tickets sold? I mean, a lot of tickets. So anyway, so we said, I had to think on my feet, so I said, we'll auction off the basket. Well, we started at $20 and then $25 and then it went on and on. Well, we got up to $450. And Lamar Boyer, who is opening 5th Street Interiors in the old Carrie Antiques building down on Highway 82 across from the police department, was the high bidder at $450. Well, Lamar donated it back, so we raised an additional $450 for our downtown businesses. Lamar donated it back, and then we did draw a ticket back out of the fishbowl. And the woman that won was visiting Tifton, was staying in a local hotel, had come downtown to shop, bought a ticket, and one ticket. And lo and behold, she won. So she was very thrilled. She came down, picked her basket up, and all these amazing gifts that were in this basket. So it was a fun event, but it was nice to see so many people downtown. The weather was spectacular. I think everything went very, very well, so I want to thank Abby and Guthrie for coordinating that, and thank you certainly to all of those businesses who donated. Also want to recognize our own Vivian Hightower, who's here with us tonight, our esteemed chairwoman of the Urban Redevelopment Group, and Vivian and the committee, you know, MJ's on the committee, Abby's on the committee, they do an incredible job, and I know y'all have got so many projects in the works and things happening, and if you have not had the opportunity to drive through the URA to see what's going on with our youth center, the Bateman Youth Center, and then the apartments that are going up next door, and then we've got all kinds of good things that are on the horizon. So maybe we could have Pete, maybe have Miss Vivian come at our next meeting and just sort of give us a little snapshot of some of the great things that are going on with URA, because it really is, that is a hard-working board, and they do a great job. So I'm very thankful that you're here, Vivian, thankful for what you do. So, all right, we live in a beautiful community, and the weather is fabulous, and there's no better time than South Georgia in the springtime. So continue to support our local businesses, continue to do the good work that you do. I'm just always honored to be able to say that I work with you four gentlemen who represent this community, and I'm thankful for our city staff and our fire and police, first responders. We're very, very blessed in this community, and I'm very thankful for each one of you. So hope you all have a good evening, and unless there's any further business to come before the council, we are adjourned.
All right.
Good night.